everybody. My name is Brenna, and this is my community in words and pictures, my community of Atlanta, Georgia. So, quick note, this first picture, these are two very famous buildings in Atlanta, the King on the left and the Queen. So the King and Queen buildings. All right, so here are some maps of Atlanta. So on the left side, these are just a bunch of different neighborhoods, all the neighborhoods essentially in the city of Atlanta. We have a lot. And then on the right, I wanted to include this just because in Atlanta, we speak in code slang a lot. And this sort of details one of the main bits of slang that a lot of people that are not native to Atlanta, they don't understand. So to break it down for you all, the city of Atlanta is encapsulated by Interstate 285. And so anything inside that interstate is called ITP, inside the perimeter. Anything outside of that is OTP, outside the perimeter. And this is greatly due to this effect called the white flight effect. And essentially what this means is during the civil rights era and a little bit before then, many white residents were just not wanting to be living around Black people because Atlanta is historically a very predominantly Black city. And all the white residents were just not into that at all during that time of segregation and Jim Crow laws. So they left, and that's where you get the white flight name. So they all left the city, and they kind of just settled down in these counties outside, so OTP. So yeah. So some fun facts about Atlanta. So we have the busiest airport in the entire world. We are referred to as the city in the forest because we have many trees and also parks that are in the city. So it's very, very green despite all of the, buildings and everything. We have so many different roads with some sort of variation of peach tree. That's something that a lot of people notice whenever they visit Atlanta. And that's due to a lost in translation. So what they were referring to back in the day were pitch trees. And someone thought they said peach trees. So they just went with it. So yeah. And Coca-Cola was also created and founded in Atlanta. And we have the Coca-Cola Museum here as well, which has, I believe, like over 100 or something sodas, Coca-Cola brand sodas from around the world. So some Atlanta demographics. We are starting off with age and sex demographics. I will say a note about the sex demographics. So on the census, you can only say that you are male or female. It doesn't give any other options for people that are maybe gender nonconforming or transgender, etc. So could possibly be missing, some people accounting for people who do fit in those categories of being trans or non-binary, gender nonconforming. So total population in the city of Atlanta is 496,461 people, and we are the ninth largest metro area in the United States. So demographics, for the most part, Atlanta is generally predominantly Black, and in second would be white. And then we have, just a handful of Asian, Hispanic or Latino, American Indian and Alaska Native. And I did want to note that Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islanders, they came in at 0%. So they are not on the pie chart. So just an FYI. Quality of life. A lot of these are between 2016 and 2020. And I'll read some of them. So 8.5% of residents in Atlanta have disabilities and they're under 65 years old. 11.9% under 65, they don't have health insurance. A good chunk of people over 25 at 53.4% have a bachelor's degree. A very good chunk at almost 50% of Atlantans that are religious. And the median gross rent between those years is $1,227, which it's quite high now. So in regards to crime and poverty, we have very high crime rates for the most part. So we actually rank third in regards to having the cities that have the highest increase in homicide rates during the pandemic. In 2021, we had 158 murders, 166 rape incidents, 803 robberies, and 2,529 aggravated assaults. And I put an asterisk next to rape incidents just because there is that dark figure of crime that needs to be accounted for, which just means that that number you can assume is going to be a lot higher because rape, especially like sexual crimes in general, aren't reported as often as other crimes. So just to keep that in mind. We also have a very high amount of poverty at 19.2%. Environmental risk, I'm not going to read all these. Just in general, we're not doing so hot in Atlanta. Environmentally, not doing so well. Just a quick note on wastewater discharge. There was no data regarding that, so I just put an NA, but everything else is very high. So formal institutions, we have many formal institutions, starting with universities. This is a picture of Emory University's School of Medicine building. And this is one of the main universities in Atlanta. We also have other universities. We have a lot of, actually, a good handful of HBCUs. So we have Clark Atlanta, Spelman College, Morehouse School of Medicine, Morehouse College, to name a few. We also have a lot of museums. We have really great museums in Atlanta. We have like the High Museum of Art. We also have the CDC Museum, which I highly recommend if you ever visit Atlanta. It's very, very neat. And this is a picture of one of the newer museums that opened in 2018. This is the Trap Music Museum that was opened just to celebrate hip hop culture in Atlanta, just because that is one of our main shticks, our main things about us is our hip hop music culture and history. So it's a really, really cool museum in Atlanta. Major employers, CDC is definitely one of the major employers here in Atlanta, which is headquartered in Atlanta. We also have Delta, which is headquartered here, as well as Home Depot. Those are probably like the top 3 major employers in Atlanta. Informal institutions. So first off, I wanted to highlight Atlanta Black Pride, just because in Atlanta, this is actually the largest Black Pride, LGBTQ Pride festival in the entire world. Over 100,000 people attend this, and it's Labor Day weekend every year. It's also the second Black Pride festival in the United States, next to DC Black Pride. All right, so the Varsity is actually the world's largest drive-in restaurant, and that's in Atlanta. So yeah, very, very popular. It's essentially just your go-to diner food, like chili cheese dogs, burgers, etc. So definitely an Atlanta staple. And Dragon Con. So Dragon Con is actually, it's like a comic convention, but it's a bit different because Dragon Con actually includes everything, anything and everything multimedia, pop culture based. So there are some people who will cosplay or dress up as characters from commercials to, these people who are dressed up in more like comic book type of cosplays. So yeah, it's also huge. Over 100,000 people attend that as well. And ironically, that is also on Labor Day weekend. So as far as a good community assessment goes, these are my takes. So safety is definitely not good. We have really high crime rates, as well as all of the, environmental risks that we have. So definitely no for that. Access to goods and services, I would say yes for the most part. There's a lot of great access to goods and services within the city of Atlanta. Maybe could use a few more stores in the perimeter, but for the most part, definitely good. Community relationships, Southern hospitality is very real, and we definitely come together, especially, so example of this, recently there was a bartender that was murdered in Atlanta, and the entire community was just shook. So definitely like really shaken, and, we all generally just come together. So that's always great to see. for the most part, people really want the same things, you know, in regards to like lower crime rates and like clean parks and, you know, cleaner environment, etc. So, and also majority of people in the perimeter are also Democrat. So just keep that in mind. Whole person principle, just going back to the community relationships, the Southern hospitality, you know, for example, with that bartender situation or scenario that I explained, you know, she wasn't seen as just a bartender. So, you know what I mean? So it's like we all see people for who they are and not just their occupation, for example. Predictability, I say this is good. This is probably not going to sound good, but it's like it's predictable in that we're all very aware that there is very high crime, a lot of traffic, you know, etc. So it's very predictable, you know, in theory, but is it good? You know, good predictability. I mean, yes, but you know, what we're predicting is not so good. Recognizable social structure. I said no for this just because we're a very big city and it's kind of hard to sort of figure out your place in society, if you will, just because it is such a big city and we do have a lot of expats that are moving here from other places. So it's kind of hard to figure out where you fit in. Opportunities, I said yes, it's good, but I put an asterisk there just because, you know, if you're living inside the perimeter in Atlanta, yes, it's good. But we have our public transit is just not good at all. And it's not as walkable as other cities. So that's sort of like the frustrating thing. So if you're going from ITP to OTP, so outside the perimeter, it's really challenging to do that if you don't have a car. So if you have a car, you're set. If you don't have a car, good luck in Atlanta. So homogeneity, I said no, just because inside the perimeter of Atlanta, the city limits of Atlanta, there's really not a lot of diversity. It's generally white Atlantans and Black Atlantans, and that's generally it. There's like, you know, a small amount of people who are from other races and ethnicities, but for the most part, it's Black and white. Now, if you go outside the perimeter, actually, northeast of Atlanta, just northeast of Atlanta, there's actually a huge hub of just various ethnicities. So I would say, arguably, that's more diverse than inside the perimeter. Some proposed changes would definitely be reducing crime, especially violent crime, improving the public transit system to go outside of the city. Unfortunately, voters who are in the counties outside of the city of Atlanta have fears of criminals using public transit system. MARTA is what our public transit system is called. They worry that it's going to bring crime up here. So it's just been voted down every single time. So that would be a really great improvement. Improving infrastructure. We are known for our potholes and just not good roads, sidewalks, etc. So improving that will be great. Reducing poverty would be really good too, as well as environmental risk. So my references. And yeah, thank you for watching.